So yesterday was a big day for leaks and rumors about the next generation Nintendo system or the Switch 2, as we got reports that came out saying that Nintendo had like a private event at Gamescom where they invited developers to show them exactly what the next generation Nintendo system was going to be like with demos, and they apparently had like a demo of Breath of the Wild running with better frame rates and better resolution and just looking really nice, and even having like the Unreal Engine 5 Matrix demo, which is really kind of technically impressive, and having that upscale to be looking almost as good as it does on PS5. So it sounds really good. So if you don't know about this or you haven't heard about it, I did make an entire video going over this in detail, so there should be a little eye up in the corner right now. Definitely go ahead and click on that video because we're going to be adding more to it inside of this video as more follow-up information came after. So if you haven't seen that video, definitely go and check it out first. I'll also have it in the outro of this video if you want to go and watch it after you're done watching this one. Now real quick before we get started, I just want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Temu. Temu is a brand new shopping app you can get on your phone or visit the website, and it has millions of amazing products for really low prices. When it comes to Nintendo stuff, you can find so many great accessories and products for the Nintendo Switch, like this charging station for all your accessories and the console, and even another AC adapter that's half the price of the official Switch one. By far the coolest thing that I've gotten though is this wire that replaces having to use the dock, where you can just plug this in and be able to play games on your TV without having to worry about the dock scratching your screen. Right now, Temu is celebrating its 1-year anniversary, and you can download the app from the link in the description below and get a $100 coupon bundle using the code on screen. It doesn't just stop at accessories either, you can even get Nintendo Switch consoles and lots of games for discounted prices right now by registering as a new user, so definitely click the link below and head on over to Temu to buy great Switch products at amazing prices, and thank you so much to Temu for sponsoring this video. Alright, so here is the article right here. It says, Universal Nintendo claims final Switch 2 hardware has 12GB of RAM, ray tracing possible, plus DLSS 3.1. And if we take a look at the article, it says, the floodgates seem to be opening on the long-rumored next generation of Nintendo's incredibly popular Switch system. While Nintendo has kept quiet, more sources seem to be coming forward, revealing what they have heard from their sources. Nintendo reportedly showed the console off to developers behind closed doors at last month's Gamescom event in Cologne, Germany, as reported by Eurogamer and VGC. Now, Universal Nintendo's editor has weighed in with more supposed facts about the system. He claims that the system will include 12GB of RAM and include the advanced AI upscaling tech known as DLSS, though it appears that Eurogamer got it wrong and it's actually DLSS 3.1, not the newer DLSS 5, as they stated in their report today. Universal Nintendo's editor-in-chief has gotten a number of leaks correct recently when it comes to Nintendo, but we won't know for sure until the Big N unveils the hybrid hardware, which is expected to release sometime next year. Here's what he said on Twitter, translated. From my sources now, the DLSS version shown behind closed doors by the Nintendo Switch 2 tech demo was 3.1, not 3.5 as reported or pointed out by Eurogamer. Ray tracing is indeed possible, and the RAM memory I was informed of was 12GB for the consumer. Now this is actually really interesting because once this post was made by Universal Nintendo, Eurogamer actually went back to their article and took out the entire part of them mentioning DLSS 3.5 to just broadly saying now that it's going to be using DLSS. So it is possible now that from their sources, they're not completely sure if it's going to be using DLSS 3.5. This person is saying that it's going to be DLSS 3.1, so I guess it's kind of up in the air. So now they're just kind of taking that out and we don't really know for sure. Now, even if the Switch 2 is using DLSS 3.1 and not the most recent 3.5, it's not that big of a deal because even from what we've seen with 3.1, it's able to make stuff look really nice and impressive. So, especially with what we've heard already about even if it was using DLSS 3.1, to be able to run the entire Unreal Engine 5 Matrix demo and then have the visuals look comparable to the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, I'm sure Nintendo will do really good with whatever type of DLSS they're using. Now this person also mentioning the RAM is really interesting as well, because we've got central leaks here saying basically that this person was saying that it's going to be using DLSS 3.1, but it's also going to have 12GB of RAM, and in comparison, the current Nintendo Switch that we have right now has 4GB of RAM, and PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X have 16GB of RAM. So if we're going from 4GB of RAM to 12GB of RAM on the next Switch, that's literally a 3 times upgrade from what we have right now, which is a ridiculous power leap, and it's definitely going to be much more capable. Obviously, it's still not reaching PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X because you're not going to be able to do that on a portable tablet-like system like the Switch, but just having, the next system have 3 times more RAM, that is definitely going to be a huge upgrade and can definitely be very useful for running more games. And for comparison with the Steam Deck actually has about 14 gigabytes of RAM that you can use, but it actually has a total of 16, but I'm assuming that only 14 are going to be available for like the consumer when you're actually like playing through the games and stuff, which is probably going to be the exact same thing that's actually going on here as well, where maybe the Switch 2 actually has like 16 gigabytes of RAM, but only 12 gigabytes is actually available for the person or something like that, so I could totally see that happening as well. Now we have some follow-up information about this as well, and this is coming from a credible leaker known as Nate the Hate. If you don't know who Nate the Hate is, he's honestly one of the more better insiders that we have when it comes to Nintendo stuff, as a lot of the stuff that he teases does end up being real, and the stuff that he mentions does seem to be coming from reputable sources as well. So like even earlier last year, like way back in February, he was already putting like thumbnails here with like Marth having red and blue hair, teasing about a new Fire Emblem game, which of course didn't get announced till September, but it was of course kind of just teasing at Fire Emblem Engage, where the new protagonist Alear has red and blue hair. Even earlier this year, people were asking if we were going to be getting a Nintendo Direct, and he said that June seems like a good time for a Direct, and a lot of people didn't even think that that was going to happen because it just seemed like Nintendo was going to be skipping having like an E3 Summer Direct. But sure enough, we actually did get a E3 Direct replacement that basically happened with a June Direct this year. So on this forum here, somebody told him by saying, "A little while ago, you told us that developers weren't shown new hardware at Gamescom. Since Eurogamer is reporting on it now, was it something you didn't know about or preferred not to disclose?" And he said here, "I specifically said that they did not show press. I never said that they didn't show developers. Literally everyone noticed that I only mentioned the press portion of his tweet being wrong." So yeah, there was a person who was basically saying like they've heard that the press and developers were shown like early look at like the Switch 2, and you know, he was just saying that the press wasn't shown, which obviously makes sense because if like actual media outlets were shown more information about the Switch 2, I would imagine that the leaks would be much bigger and like we'd get way more information. But because it is coming from developers, there's probably not that many developers who are willing to kind of want to like leak information about this, so that definitely makes sense. And then it just says here, considering media outlets are already sharing more info than you were able to share previously, would you like to add something to that from what you've heard, or is it the same stuff that we know now from Eurogamer and VGC? And he's saying here, largely the same stuff with a few things that I could add, but I'm reluctant to do so as a few of my contacts from Gamescom are actually pissed off that Eurogamer and VGC ran reports on this right now. All I'll add is that there were no playable demos as this thread had speculated. No one played the Switch successor at Gamescom, only tech demos were shown, and some were shown as mentioned on hardware with target specs or via a video capture. To my understanding, there was no actual Switch 2 hardware on display. If there were, it may have been a dev kit, but there was no final hardware shown to partners. So yeah, basically he was saying here that what these developers were shown might have just been like a video of exactly what type of stuff is going to be possible on the next Nintendo system, or maybe like a tech demo or anything like that, but there was nothing playable. They weren't having like a controller in their hands, like actually taking a look at how it's going to be like, or there wasn't like an actual physical like system there either. They were just showing like videos and examples and stuff. So that makes sense too. They said, Nate was saying here there was no final hardware, so they didn't get to see like what we're going to be getting when we get the final version of the system when it comes out next year. So even all the developers who are leaking this stuff still have no idea, it seems like, what the actual final version of the system is going to be, and it really seems like Nintendo is keeping that type of stuff secret. So yeah, at most it seems like they probably just got like videos of what the system is going to be like and how powerful it's going to be, but they still don't have that much information when it comes to the actual hardware itself. And so now you're pretty much updated with all the information that we have in regards to the next generation Nintendo system or the Switch 2. So yeah, if you guys did enjoy the video, definitely be sure to click that like button and also subscribe to the channel as well, as I'm going to be having more videos talking about the Switch 2 as more information comes out. Comment down below and let me know what you guys think about this. How do you guys feel about the Switch 2 possibly having like 3.1 DLSS and having 12 gigabytes of RAM and the stuff that Nate said as well? Go follow me on Twitter at Aero so you can be featured in videos, and also be sure to join my Discord server as well. We've got a bunch of people in there who are always talking about Pokemon and Smash Bros and Nintendo, so definitely be sure to join that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching.